Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, we discuss historically haunted location. We dive into the history and talk about who or what could be haunting them. If that's something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell because I am here for you every Wednesday. Last week we talked about the Framlingham Castle and Bloody Mary. I'll link it up here just in case you missed it. I am super ready to hop into this video, so let's get into it. You guys, I am beyond excited about this video. Today, we will be talking about St. Augustine Lighthouse. Ghost hunters went there in like 2006, I think, and then they went there again in 2019. The 2006 one was really good. And if you hear thundering outside, I'm really sorry. Been a lot of storms going on today, so. But you know the drill. Before we get into the hauntings, let's talk a little bit about the history first. St. Augustine Light Station is an actual working lighthouse in St. Augustine, Florida. It stands where the 16th century Spanish watchtowers once stood. It was built between the years of 1871 and 1874, and it stands about 52 feet tall. Now, this tower is the second lighthouse in St. Augustine, but it was the first to be officially lit in May of 1824 as Florida's first lighthouse. Now, during World War II, the Coast Guard men and women actually trained in St. Augustine. So they would actually use the lighthouse as a lookout post for enemy ships or submarines. Then in 1907 is when they would put in indoor plumbing. And in 1925 is when they put electricity in the keeper's quarters. The light itself became fully automated in 1955. And soon after that is when they would get rid of the keepers. Then in 1970 is when St. Johns County would buy the lighthouse. But that same year, there would be a fire by an unknown arsonist. Then later in 1980, a small group of 15 women in the Junior Service League of St. Augustine would begin the restoration. And then shortly after, in 1981, it would be placed on the National Register of Historical Places. Now the lighthouse operates as a maritime museum. Let's kind of talk about who were the keepers of the lighthouse. The first lighthouse keeper was Andrew. I'll try to put his name here, but he was the first keeper of the lighthouse, and he served as keeper from 1824 to 1845. He was paid big bucks, guys. He was paid $350 a year to tend to 10 oil lamps. I'll have to see how much that is equivalent to money now, because really it doesn't seem like a lot. Later on, his son Joseph would be the lighthouse keeper. Unfortunately, while he was whitewashing the tower, the scaffolding gave way and he dropped 60 feet to his death. After his death, his wife ended up taking over as keeper. She would serve until the light was extinguished shortly after the outbreak of the Civil War. And then the tower would be reactivated on June 1st of 1867. Now, the keepers actually lived in the duplex. The head keeper would live on the north side, the first assistant would live on the south side, and the second assistant would have to make do with the two little rooms on top that were between the two main sides. Over the years, there were about 17 head keepers who took care of the lighthouse between 1824 to 1960. You ready for the hauntings? Because I am. The first story we will be talking about is called The Superintendent's Daughters. This is kind of a sad story. Actually, not kind of. It is a very sad story. Back in 1872, there was a man, and I really truly hope I am not mispronouncing his name, but I probably am. You guys should know by now. But his name, I believe, was Hezekiah Petit, and he was the superintendent for the St. Augustine Lighthouse construction project. Now, his wife and daughters actually lived in Maine while he was down in Florida doing this project, and he realized that it was going to take a lot longer than he thought, and you know, he's a family man, he misses his family, so he moved them down to Florida to live with him until the project was done. His two daughters were very young, so you know, kids, they love to play outside, play on things maybe they shouldn't have. They've got an imagination, so I know my kids do. And one day, Hezekiah's two daughters were playing outside with three of their other friends. They were playing a game that they played all the time. There was a small rail car that they liked to play in, and this rail car was usually used to transport supplies. What the kids would do is some of them would hop in the rail car and the others would push. While they were playing, the wheels on the rail car ended up shifting, and the children, they would end up falling off the pier and hitting the cold water. Now, fortunately, there was a construction worker in that area and he saw the whole thing go down. So he ran as fast as he could and got all the children out of the water. However, Hezekiah's 2 daughters and one of their friends ended up drowning. Ever since the accident, many visitors or workers will actually hear giggling in the woods that's out behind the watchtower. Some have even seen 4-foot figures peeking around the corners. The 4-foot spirits that are seen are known to be friendly, but it's still a really sad situation. Now, the next ghost is called the Man. Well, this ghost is usually spotted in the basement of what used to be the keeper's house. He's usually known for making a room smell like cigar smoke. However, what he's also known for is making people get this overwhelming sense of fear. This is where I'm going to talk a little bit about ghost hunters, because this was probably one of my favorite episodes that they ever did. In the 2006 episode, this figure called the Man actually revealed himself to them. So they were in the tower area towards the bottom. They were hearing noises up top, but every time they went up there, it would stop. So they just kind of sat at the bottom, because that's when they noticed it would happen up above him where the noises was when they were down at the bottom. So they had their camera pointing up and he was watching the camera as it was pointing up. I don't know if it was a thermal camera or one of their others, but either way, they were looking at their screen. They see this figure peering out, looking down at them, and then coming back, disappearing. It blew my mind. Let me tell you. There are a few theories on who the ghost, the Man, is. Some think it's the lighthouse keeper that lived there during the 1850s. His name was William Russell. Russell was known to be very passionate and protective of his work. So maybe they're thinking he's just trying to protect his home, and that's why he could be scaring people. But most people think it's the lighthouse keeper, Joseph. Remember him? They believe that since his death was so sudden and tragic, that maybe he just doesn't know he's dead. So for over 100 years, he could just be living in his old quarters, smoking a cigar to pass the time. I want to know who you guys think the ghost is, whether you think it's William or Joseph or someone else. If you have any theories, let me know down in the comments, because I'm really curious. Right now, they do active tours there. And there's this tour guide who works there, and he was walking people through, talking about the history, when all of a sudden, something grabbed his ankle. He said it looked like he was tripping over air. Another time, he said he was down in the basement, something plucked his arm hairs. Isn't that kind of weird? Some people will see a hand coming through the tower door. Also, furniture moves on its own. There's a lot of creepy stuff going on there. Have you guys ever been to this lighthouse? But if you have, let me know. Just tell me your stories. Well, everyone, that's it for me today. Let me know if you enjoyed this video down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, because I upload every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Anyways, guys, I will see you next week. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.